My alarm goes off and I usually lay in bed for like a half hour, then I finally get the courage to get up.
Typical day, I wake up. It's hard to pull myself out of bed.
You seem happy like usual, so you never really know what people are going through.
Sometimes I think about all the opportunities I missed out on with anxiety because I feel like I could have talked to someone or made a new friend or signed up for something, but I just haven't because I get so anxious.
I was hardly eating a muffin for dinner.
Hardest part is just really not being able to feel.
It's one of those days, every single day, where I want to get up, but it's part of your anxiety and depression pushing you back down.
You never know what your closest friends are going through or the people around you are going through. Like, I saw Zach every day because he's one of my closest friends, and I never knew what he was going through.
One time I was talking to some people about anxiety and they said, oh, everyone has that, like anxiety is just stress and you're probably just stressed out about school, but in reality anxiety is like a chemical imbalance in your brain, and when you get more stressed out or less stressed out, it doesn't make you feel better, it just, you feel anxious all the time.
In sophomore year, I was diagnosed with depression, and for the couple weeks following, I was really struggling with feelings of complete worthlessness, no hope, and I was also really struggling with suicidal thoughts, and I had just become a completely different person than I usually was.
Something makes someone really happy. For me, it just happens.
I take about a huge handful of pills that keep my body stable, keep me from trying to kill myself, from shaking too much, from pretty much falling apart, which it still happens sometimes.
Times of tragedy, like that's when most support is shown, but like people struggling through it need support all the time.
And I ended up staying at a mental hospital for a few days because I had threatened to cut myself if I went home.
I have depression and anxiety, so it's really hard to like feel things.
On a daily basis, I talk to multiple people out of suicide.
Speak out and ask them if they're okay. Like most of the time they'll say, yeah, I'm fine, but you never know that they might open up to you.
I think that there's a lot of ignorance at Zealand about anxiety and all mental illnesses. A lot of people just kind of put anxiety, just brush it off and put it on the back burner.
And it was horrible for my family to watch that happen to me and just kind of deteriorate before their eyes. And so I lost so much weight, and eventually my psychiatrist diagnosed me with anorexia.
It really stinks. Yeah.
Sometimes you can talk everyone else out of suicide, but it's harder to talk yourself out of it.
Like, it was really weird for me because like it didn't feel real at all at first. Like, it didn't feel like it could happen to my cousin or like even my family, because like just a month before we were spending Christmas together and New Year's together and everything, because my family's like super close. So just like being at my grandma's house and like not having him there, it was like everything was just so weird. Like, it was obvious that he was gone, but like it didn't feel like he was gone. Like, I felt like he was gonna walk in like any second, but he never really did.
I went to a residential treatment center that was in Indiana. So my parents drove me there, dropped me off, and drove back to Michigan.
Like, you care, but you don't have the motivation to strive and go through with it.
You have to understand that what you have could be deadly. It is just like cancer, it is just like pneumonia or any other kind of sickness or disease. It could kill you, and it has killed people.
The fact that he wanted to end his life, that just was really hard for me because I didn't like see why he might have wanted to or anything, because he had a lot of support.
It was just an amazing place. The girls there were just so kind, and they were really supportive of me, and we were really supportive of each other.
Like, someone lazy, they just choose to do lay around and stuff. But with like having depression, you don't choose to lay down. You're like forced to lay down and do nothing, because all that bit of motivation that you have is gone. So every day is just another day.
There's this picture, and there's this person they're like having a heart attack, and then there's a flat line, and the person next to them is really like, why don't you just get better? Why doesn't your heart just beat? You can't just tell someone who's in cardiac arrest, oh, your heart needs to beat, fix that. It's kind of like telling a person who has anxiety or depression, stop shaking, stop worrying. Oh, life isn't that bad, it's not that hard. When in reality, to the person, everything is that hard. Everything is falling apart to them.
Yeah, I guess people, like, if they see people down, they're like, oh, they're just having a bad day. Like, they'll be fine tomorrow, which they might be fine tomorrow. They might just be having a bad day, but it might be something more than just having a bad day.
I was completely in the depths of it because I thought things are never going to get better. This is going to be my life forever. Right. My therapist was helping me a lot with the thoughts that I was having, and she knows what it's like because she had an eating disorder too. And so pretty much since then, I've been in recovery, and it has been awesome. Finding that one person you trust, regardless of who it is, just talk to somebody about what you're going through. It can be so, so helpful.
How they feel is not exactly how they should be feeling.
I went through a really tough time.
And they're not necessarily being laughed at, but they're like, people are laughing and having fun, and they're not like a part of it, so they're being left out.
I know sometimes people feel like they can't talk to anyone and they feel alone, but I kind of got to a point where I needed to tell someone.
If you're even an athletic person and you're not the best player on the team, there's always going to be like people that will make fun of you or whatever, and there's always the people that are on sports teams that make fun of people that are off of them just because, oh, you're not cool enough to be on it, or you're not big enough or strong enough. And that really like hurts people because they play sports with their friends, they have fun, but they just don't feel welcome on the teams.
I got really anxious because I didn't know what people were thinking of me because I wasn't sitting by, well, I mean, I sat by people at lunch, but I didn't talk to them because they weren't really social.
For me, it's like being a different person. Sometimes I kind of like lose myself, and it's hard to get it back. I feel like there's no reason to want anything or hope for anything anymore, and I'm not that kind of person. It's kind of hard now, and I don't see like any reason to hope for that.
You have to ask for help.
I didn't know anywhere safe to go, if that makes any sense. I mean, I know teachers are there, but I didn't really know them, and we had just moved, so stuff was chaotic at home, so my parents weren't like always there to talk to me.
A person who has depression, it's often hard for them to speak up and talk about it, so people don't know to like notice that they don't really try to or know to notice the signs of depression because that person may not be able to talk about it or may not feel like they can. So people don't like know that they should do that and really like get on top of that and make sure that their friend or even someone they barely know is okay.
You have to be strong enough to say that you need help. Like, it's hard, it's really hard to ask for help, but I mean, you got to do it, and if you don't, then you never know what it could have been if you asked for help.
Just smiling at him, because I remember when I was like not the happiest person, when someone would smile at me and like, oh, that's nice.
Like, the chemicals in your brain are imbalanced. It's not like you're just sad. There's a reason why, and it's not something you can just stop. It's something you wish you could stop, but it's not something you can just stop.
Everyone was talking about me, and it really got to me. Like, I would, like, between classes, I would go to sneak to the counselor and like go cry in his office for a little bit and stuff like that. And I got to the point where on Easter of 2012, my 8th grade year, I tried to take my life. When I came back to school, I wasn't expecting anything to be different, but I wasn't expecting it to be worse, and it was. I was being called psychotic and crazy and insane. Freshman year started, I only attended the first day of school. And then I ended up in the hospital again, and it was just a cycle. I was in and out of the hospital to the point where I didn't really have a freshman year. My sophomore year, I came back and I went on the communication retreat, and I kind of just shared how different the vibe was from the first day of freshman year to the first day of sophomore year. It's like the whole school is flipped, and it was just a really negative environment, and you could just feel it. A professional speaker that we had, Jim Tooman, had invited me to go to this leadership conference in Michigan, in Midland, and it's like sophomores all over Michigan go and like learn about leadership and like how to bring it to the community and themselves and stuff like that. And it was a really great experience. Like, it felt like home. Like, I was at a college with 100 different sophomores. I had no idea who they were, and we had totally different backgrounds, but within 25 minutes we were all connected. Like, we were all sharing our stories and sharing like what we want to do and how we want to make a difference. And like, I didn't realize that I could have something in common with someone so different and someone that I didn't know. And that really changed me, and I have been going back every summer ever since to teach leadership, because now I teach there. Being able to connect with people that like have gone through things like me, I don't know, it brings me like a lot of comfort. Hearing them talk about it and hear what they went through, like, I mean, it's awful that they had to go through those things, but like, it means a lot. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it means a lot. Like, I'm not alone, and I wasn't the only one who was going through these things, and it lets them realize that they're not the only ones going through these things. Little kids can make a big difference too, and although we're teenagers, like, we still can make a big difference. Like, we going out and like telling people, like, raising awareness on depression and bullying and stuff like that makes a huge difference. Actually being there and being willing to listen and stuff like that helps a lot.